Hello and welcome to Tome of Uselessness. I'm Devin.
I'm Dan.
And today we're talking horror movies, because it's October.
Slasher time.
Spooky time.
Yeah.
Let's get Darkwing Duck.
I believe it's Let's Get Dangerous, which does also fit.
Yeah, let's get dangerous.
And I heard the comics for those are really messed up and
There's
actually
comics for those?
Yeah, they're more intense because it's a Batman parody, of course, right? So I think it depends on what era or who's writing them.
Did the comic come
Ninja
before
Turtles.
the TV show? Or did
I want to say yes. It's kind of like Ninja Turtles was a comic, and it was way more messed up than the cartoon ever became, right?
I watched a documentary about that once.
Oh, yeah.
Don't remember anything though. Except there was somebody that was so into turtles.
Oh, shit.
Okay. Are we cutting this out and starting again?
No, I guess we can keep going. I'll cut out.
Listen, useless fans.
Talk.
Dan's fridge is really loud, and if we don't turn it off, we'll die.
Yeah, basically.
Anyways, the only thing I remember from this documentary is that there was a super fan who used to eat the pizza that they ate in the cartoons, so she would put mayo and shit on her pizza.
Oh.
She was a crazy person.
Well, clearly.
she was kind of like a furry, but only for Ninja Turtles.
Okay, yeah. That's fair enough.
Yeah. Anyways, what'd you like this week, Dan?
Yeah, before we get going into our topic, I have a couple things. I went and saw Ad Astra, which was the Brad Pitt sci-fi movie.
Did I talk about this on the last podcast that they contacted where I work?
Maybe you told me off air.
Oh, they contacted us and were like, you're a perfect fit for this. You should promote our movie and we'll give you tickets to give out to people. And I was like, fuck off.
Yeah. But it was pretty good, and it was interesting. It was really shot close up a lot, which was kind of jarring in the beginning, but it also kind of gives you that feeling of being in these space capsules and what have you. And there were some good vista shots of Mars and stuff. So.
When you texted me after you watched it, you said it was very claustrophobic.
Yeah, and that's intentional because it's the degradation of his character over time and stuck in this long journey and stuff. It was good.
What is with Hollywood and this weird trend of doing a man in a space thing by himself?
Yeah, I guess it's
The Martian, Moon.
Yeah, well, I think it's just because you don't need as many actors, and so your budget doesn't...
You can do it on cheap.
Yeah, you can do it a little cheaper. Plus, I think with the effects these days...
You can make space look good.
Yeah, you can make space look really good.
You could probably film it in space if you really wanted to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they do a cool sequence on the... This isn't really spoilers, but it's on the moon and on Mars, and then a couple of things in space, and it was pretty cool. There was this really cool shot and scene, because a lot of it's Brad Pitt internal dialogue, and it's voiceover, which was really kind of weird, but it kind of started to work. And it's he's pulling himself in a spacesuit in an underwater situation, and it's all black, and you see this strange orange glow and stuff like that. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool.
That is cool.
So anyway, I pretty liked that. And then I also read Accessory to War, which was by Neil deGrasse Tyson and Avis Lang. And that's a book about how astrophysics technology...
Bang, 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 bang.
How its progress is lockstep with the progress of warfare. And how the development of the telescope was a big deal, because then you can start to see people, and the development of even the compass. And actually there was a really cool story about a watch, the timekeeper that worked, because then it helped ships track where they were, because they couldn't before. And the guy who invented the watch, by the way, this was crazy, England put out a £20,000 prize to be whoever makes a watch that works, you get this $20,000.
Yeah. And
this was back in pre-colonial shipfarer times, so that's a lot of money. He invented a watch that worked better than they even expected. He never got the money.
Why?
Yeah, they screwed him out of it basically over his lifetime. But because somebody stole his designs and then this and that. But he was the guy who did it. Anyway, so it was a pretty cool book. He kind of veers off sometimes into politics of the world and all this other stuff. When I was more kind of there for, because he talks a lot about space science and space technology.
That's cool.
And there was a lot of cool information about the current state of the space programs, because I didn't know. I knew that America and NASA specifically don't have rockets anymore, right? They phased them out.
Oh.
And so they rely on Russia to still get stuff to the ISS and stuff like that. And to get an astronaut that Russia charges $82 million there and back for so it's a round trip, and that's kind of one of the reasons that still the relations are still kind of cool with them, because like Russia relies on that money to fund their own space programs.
Oh, I see.
And their technology, because they're having difficulties with their economy. So it was just like this weird stuff, like that was that I didn't know, of course, that you get some inside info into.
That's really cool.
It was cool.
On a side note, just speaking of watches and warfare, you know that like interlocking like watch band that's like kind of chainy?
Yeah.
That was designed by Cartier to look like the treads on tanks.
Yes, I can see it now.
Yeah. Just a random. Yeah. Doesn't matter.
No, and so it was interesting, because he was just saying that unfortunately for astrophysicists, it's like their technology is 100% reliant that like, or helps like the military's needs. So it's not always that they get money from that, but it's like their progression helps warfare progression.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like no other tech that basically, I mean, many tech does, but it's just like they put satellites so they can look at stars, but guess what? You can look at Earth, and it's just like, it's immediately that can be used for other purposes. So he says those are the programs that get the most kind of funding, that the dual use programs, right? So anyway, it was an interesting book. It wasn't that long. So it was cool. It was a good read. And that was it.
That was it? I watched...
Okay, well, I'll say.
Oh, what?
I'll talk a bit about it later. No,
okay.
Continue.
I watched The Witches, the 1990 classic The Witches, last week with Angelica Houston. Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's such a weirdly shot movie. Mm-hmm. They zoom in on everything.
Oh, really?
In a way that, like, if you were, like, watching it now.
Yeah.
And it's like, the zoom-ins would imply that it's something important later.
Sure, yeah.
It's never us. They just zoom in on fucking everything.
Maybe they got the newest zoom lens and they're like, we gotta use this tech.
I think maybe. Yeah. And then they also, like, just the way it's shot is so bizarre that it's, like, worth, like, even if, like, the movie hasn't exactly aged well.
Right.
And the main child actor, I wonder if it was somebody's kid. Right? Like,
producer situation, yeah.
There's a point where he looks like he's bored and he's just playing with his glasses, and I'm like, there's no way that was the direction in this scene. Or is it a brilliant performance? It's just a very poor... And, because, spoilers, he gets turned into a mouse.
Yes,
and
you were mentioning that. Yeah.
The actor does, like, voiceover for it. And he sounds like Morty from Rick and Morty. He's just like, oh no, guys. Yeah. Oh boy. And he like instantly accepts he's a mouse. Yeah. He's like, well, it looks like I'm a mouse now. Guess I don't have to go to school.
Yeah.
It's the strangest movie, but 100% worth watching for the grandma's indeterminable European accent.
Yeah. And the witch makeup.
Oh, the witch makeup is great.
Yeah.
Like, it's so good. It took Angelica Houston 6 hours to get in and out of it.
Oh my god.
And it looks amazing. And it was Jim Henson did creature creation for it and stuff.
Yeah.
Totally worth watching it for that. But if you want to watch it just for the cinematography, it's so bizarre. And every choice you're like, well, that was a choice. Even the opening credits, it starts with a camera panning over, like, just mountains that are covered in snow. Right. Which has nothing to do with the movie. And it's a shaky camera. I was going to say, isn't that like a snow globe or something? Or No, it's just a shaky camera panning over snow. No. And it has nothing to do with the story.
It's just drawing you into the whimsy.
And it's very long. Yeah. It's like 2 minutes of opening credits.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've talked about this.
Yeah, like every actor that's in it. Yeah. And it's just the whole time.
Well, and I was saying, if I recall, there's, of course, because he's a mouse, they do like a lot of like, low camera, like something big, right?
Yeah, so. Actually, even when he's not a mouse.
Oh, really?
They do that. They have this great sequence where he's like... I can't remember what I think it's right after they give him the mouse potion. Yeah. And it's shot up, looking at him, but it's like if somebody had strapped a a selfie stick to him with a GoPro pointing up his nose.
Yeah, okay.
Like, it's the weirdest choice.
Nice.
And I love it. Okay. It's so good.
Fair enough.
And I was reading, like, there was a quote that was saying that it was, like, Angelica Houston's favorite movie to work on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, good for her.
Yeah. Anyways, it's worth watching.
Yeah,
it's this weird movie, though.
What year was that from again?
1990.
1990. Oh,
yeah, yeah. It's old now.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I thought it was in the 90s at some point. But.
I thought it was in the 80s, but yeah. But every actor is terrible at it. Well, not every.
Except for Angelica Houston.
And Rowan Atkinson's in it. He's great because he's like the hotel owner and he's just kind of a shit.
Yeah.
And he's like, I never realized as a kid, but he's like sleeping with one of the maids, and there's all these scenes of him like coming out of broom closets and stuff, which is great.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Anyways, I recommend. I didn't look at any. I don't like anything else. I just haven't really been consuming that much media because I've been busy.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah.
So yeah, what we wanted to do is kind of like we did our previous Christmas episode. We watched different horror movies, and then we're going to talk about them.
Yeah.
And I kind of went overboard in the sense that I watched
100 horror movies.
I watched 3 horror movies. Well, one I thought was going to be horror, and then I was like, oh, I'll pick like one to talk about. But I think I'm going to talk about 2.
Okay.
But the third one that I'm not going to talk about, I watched The Neon Demon from 2016, I believe it was. And I thought it was going to be like a thriller-esque kind of thing. It was totally different than that, but...
What's it?
It was, so if you watch Red Letter Media, Jay mentions it a couple times in one of his videos. And so that's why I decided, I was like, oh, maybe I'll watch this. And it's about a young woman. It's Elle Fanning, or Dakota Fanning? It's Dakota Fanning's sister.
Yeah, Elle Fanning.
Elle Fanning, yeah.
Or something, whatever.
I think it is that. Anyway, and then so she goes to LA to become a model. And then it starts... Like, she gets a modeling gig, and then she, like, signs up for this agency, and then they play, like, Christina Hendricks does, like, a small cameo, and she's like, oh, you know what? I see a lot of girls, but you're going to be great at this, blah, blah, blah. And then she meets some other models and some makeup artists, and then she starts to, like, get some... Basically, there's, like... She steals a job from each of them, essentially, and then they get revenge in one scene where they, like, slash her down and then kill her. And then they eat her.
Oh!
And then there's like another scene where one freaks out, kills herself, and then the movie just ends. And I was like, this is the weirdest thing. It has Keanu Reeves is in there. Oh. It has this really cool synth score, and it's all shot with like purples and neons, and like it was clearly low budget, but it was well done. But it was just weird. Like the whole time I was like, and even after I was like, that was weird.
Cool.
But so it's not the movie I'm going to talk about.
That's fair. That's fair. What movies are you going to talk about?
Well, I could start with one, and then you could do one, and I could do the other, or whatever. Okay, well, the first one I was going to talk about would be They Live from 1998.
Yeah. What's this about? Because I feel like I might have seen it, but I'm not sure.
So it's about a man named Nada, who's actually never named in the movie. It's just like his credits.
Okay.
He's a down on his luck construction worker, and he's come to LA to, find some work. He sees some kind of strange going-ons, and then eventually like some cops roll in and kind of bust up the camp that he's living at. He's kind of almost like living in a homeless camp beside a church. He goes and he finds some weird going-ons, and there's like this weird street preacher finds these glasses, and when he puts them on, the world goes black and white and looks all weird. And there are like messages everywhere and governments and medias that say like, stay asleep, no imagination, submit to authority, and obey. And even scarier, this is synopses, he's able to see normal looking people are in fact ugly aliens in charge of the massive campaigns to keep humans subdued. So as he's wearing these glasses, everything's black and white, and the normal humans look like normal humans, but then these other look like alien creatures, and they're just walking amongst us.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then so it's about him trying to deal with this.
So is he crazy?
He's not crazy.
Oh.
Because basically...
I always want them to be crazy.
Well, I've seen other movies that probably take the similar concept, and they are crazy, but the church that was being operated beside the homeless camp is being run by like an underground resistance, and the cops come in to bust them up to try to prevent the resistance from rising and stuff like that, right?
Gotcha, because the cops are bad.
The cops are bad. They're run, well, not all cops are the aliens. because he does encounter a regular human cop and what have you.
Cool.
So, yeah, the movie just kind of progresses, and it's so John Carpenter, kind of almost like Big Trouble in Little China, in that it, like, there's, like, some slow build-up, and then the last 3/4 especially, or the last half, it's just, like, insane breakneck pace of just, like... Yeah. Because they go to an underground meeting, I'll kind of go into it a little bit more, and then it's just, like, the cops raid that, and then the movie's just, like, nonstop, just, like, whoa, and then they go to another situation.
Buckle up, it's time for a ride.
Basically, there's a little bit of a slowdown, for a couple minutes, kind of like the elevator scene in Big Trouble in Little China, and then it goes crazy again.
I know I've seen Big Trouble Little China.
I think we've watched it.
I don't remember anything from it. I think I fell asleep during it.
That's fair.
Yeah.
It's a good movie, though. But
I don't remember enjoying it.
That's okay.
But you know what? We might have watched it at like 3 a.m. at Sean's house or something.
Probably.
In my defense.
So, yeah, this movie, directed by John Carpenter. It's written by Ray Nelson, who... Ray Nelson wrote the short story it was based off of called 8 O'Clock in the Morning. John Carpenter wrote the screenplay. The budget was only $4 million, so you can tell has a smaller budget than, say, Big Trouble in Little China. And this still makes it work. Like, you can tell that it's not as slick, but it still is a good movie because, like I said, so he gets the glasses. He had made a friend previously who was Keith David. His name's Frank. He was in The Thing as well. And basically, he goes on a killing spree. Not on a killing spree, sorry, but like he sees the aliens, and then the aliens realize he can see them. And so they come after him, and then he kills some, and then he goes into a bank, and he's got the classic line there where he ad-libbed it apparently, was, I've come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum. And he's in a bank with a shotgun, wearing these glasses. So he gets into like a gunfight with like an alien, kills him, goes out, and then he like kills an alien cop and stuff like that. And so then his face gets all over the news, like, man and crazy, etc.
Yeah.
And then he encounters Keith David again, who's like, hey, get away from me, man. I don't want any part of you. Like, get out of town. And he tries to give him some money. And Nada, who's played by Roddy Piper, who's a wrestler.
Oh.
And he was like, no, man, put the glasses on. And then they were going to have a fight. And the fight was only supposed to be 20 seconds long. But so it was designed, rehearsed, and choreographed in the back lot of John Carpenter's production office. And like I said, it was only supposed to be 20 seconds, but they decided to fight for real.
Oh.
And only faking hits to the groin or the face. And they rehearsed it for 3 weeks. And he was so impressed by the entire fight sequence that it's in the entire movie, and it runs for 5 minutes and 20 seconds. And it's so long when you're watching, because I was just like, this keeps on going, like, because, a couple times they knock each other down, and he's like, put the glasses on, and he's like, no, and gets back up, and they fight some more, and then, Roddy's down, or Nada's down, and he's just like, Keith is like, get out of here, kind of thing, and then goes to walk away, and he gets back up, and the fight continues, and I was just like, this fight is insane. And so they're just fighting the hell out of each other. Eventually, Nada gets him to put on the glasses, and then he sees that everything's weird, and, that's like I said, they're hiding out, and they're like, what are we going to do? We got to make a plan. And they encounter one of the people that was involved in the group before it got raided by the cops. And he's like, come to the meeting, we'll get this sorted. And they go to the meeting, and a character that Roddy had encountered previously, who, again, he tried to convince, he's like, no, something's going on, but he took her sort of hostage. Well, basically just to get away from the cops, and then she knocked him out of her window. Like, it was like one of those Hollywood Hill houses. Nice. And so he rolls down like the wind, down the hill, but he left the glasses, and then so she comes there to the meeting. She's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize, blah, blah, blah. But then the cops raid, and it's like this huge, insane battle sequence, and there's grenades and explosions.
Awesome.
And they have one of the watches.
So is this a horror movie, or is this an action movie?
It definitely was under the horror genre. I'm making it sound more action-y probably than it is.
Because it sounds like...
And again, I think this was made in 1988, so aliens walk amongst us, sort of a horror-y-ish kind of thing.
Oh yeah, because wasn't there was another movie, Mimic, was that it?
No. That was about bugs.
Yeah, but they're kind of alien.
Yeah, that was in the 90s. But I mean, this was done before, like Invasion of the Body Snatchers and all that kind of stuff like that, right?
What was the other one about the sexy lady?
Species.
Yeah.
Yeah. Species. And Well,
alien.
Well, and to go back to what I was trying to find to watch, I was trying to find sci-fi space horror.
Yeah.
Or sci-fi horror, which I do like, but I've seen most of the stuff that's rated near the top. So I was trying to find a movie.
Event
Horizon, Alien, Pandorum, movies like that. I was like, oh, I want to watch another one of these. Couldn't really find anything that's not from the past, let's say.
Fair.
Right? Nothing too recent in that genre. So I was like, this may be something.
Should have made Gravity a space horror.
Mm-hmm. Well, there was Life, but I was kind of like, I've seen stuff about that, so I was like,
Isn't Life almost like a shot-for-shot of Alien?
Yeah. in a sense, so.
I heard that, and somebody was saying that, like, a positive review of it.
Right.
They're like, it's so good, it's like rewatching Alien.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, so I was just trying to watch something I hadn't seen, and where was I? So the police raid. Yeah, like I said, I'm making it sound more action-y than it kind of was, but the police raid, they have one of the watches that lets them communicate, the aliens, but it also can maybe teleport or make them invisible. We're not sure yet. Turns out it opens up a hole, and they teleport essentially to the behind-the-scenes or, like, the underground.
The mothership.
The aliens are. Well, it's not the mothership, but it's like somewhere.
The head base.
Basically, and then they go along. And throughout the movie, they mention how humans get recruited by the aliens, and when they do, they get money and prestige and etc. Because this was a critique on Reaganomics at the time.
Oh, fair.
And so, like, there's this scene with, like, everybody in tuxes and an alien being like, all of your stocks are rising, 40%, and next year it should be 35% at least, and blah, blah, blah. And then, bananas and stuff like that, and at the end of the movie the hero destroys their like cloaking satellite so people can see the aliens walking amongst them.
Nice.
And he unfortunately dies doing the sacrifice play.
Oh.
But what I was getting to with the humans being recruited, it's not specifically mentioned, but I'm pretty sure the Holly character that he rescued earlier, she knew and she was recruited by the aliens. So I'm pretty sure she led them to the police, to the hideout for that raid, and then because the whole time he's trying to save her because he's like, blah blah blah, and then she kills Keith David's character Frank, and then has like a gun drawn on him. He kills her, blows up the thing, and then the movie ends a few minutes or like a minute later kind of thing. So it's good, sort of horror camp, but it's not really campy. It's more just like played straight.
Yeah.
But aliens amongst us.
Love camp though.
Yeah, I was kind of as I was kind of going along, because the character, it very much looks like originally John Carpenter almost did kind of want to bring Kurt Russell into this project, but he was like, I cast him in my last 3 movies, so I should go with something different. But again, it could have been played that campy Jack Burton, type character, but he plays it more straight and subdued, and it actually does work. There's a couple really good scenes with him acting across Keith David and just like talking about his past and etc. Because you don't really know anything about him as the movie kind of progresses. So you get a little more, but he did a really good job, and like I said, he did cast him basically after seeing him in like WrestleMania 3. He was
cool.
like, I want him to be in my movie.
That's cool.
Yeah, and Carpenter worked with Keith David previously in The Thing, and so he wrote the role of Frank specifically for him. He's like, I want him back, and this is going to be him here. Let's see. So one thing he wanted with the aliens was because they look like rotting corpses.
Ooh.
Essentially, yeah, they look all like sunken in and rotting corpses and skeletons, and any of the skeletons that are speaking, or the aliens, that are speaking, it's one guy. It was a stuntman. I didn't write down his name, but apparently he's like a smallish Asian man, but he's got like 14 black belts. And so like the Roddy Piper, because he had to wear dresses and wigs, and he was like, he looks good in anything. He's got 14 black belts.
We'll just let him do whatever he wants.
Yeah, do whatever he wants. But. So yeah, they look like rotting corpses because John Carpenter didn't want the aliens to look like high tech. He wanted them to look like a corruption of humanity.
Oh,
so that's why they
cool.
look like that. And so, they resemble corrupted or decaying humans because of the greed inside and the Reaganomics of the age, right? So, I don't know. It's got some really cool, like, matte work, and when he first puts on the glasses, everything goes black and white, and, like, all the magazines he looks at, like, it's like an Us magazine, but it's all just stark white paper with black text that just says, like, consume and obey, and which is where the graffiti guy started the obey.
Oh,
thing.
I was wondering, yeah.
The whole time I was watching the movie, I was like, I'm pretty sure, like, is this where the guy was inspired? Or what's going on? And then I looked it up. Confirmed.
Tony likes his clothing. He keeps buying it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's exactly where he got the inspiration for doing it. Because,
cool.
like, he looks up at, like, a travel banner, and, it's like a bikini model, and then he puts on the glasses. It just says, like, marry and reproduce kind of thing, right? Like, stuff like that, right? So, it was cool. Like, cool map stuff, and then there was some neat... There's like a droid thing. So I don't know. It was good fun. It was short. It was only an hour and a half long. Like
nice.
So it just breezed past essentially. And that's what I was saying, where it kind of gets breakneck. Because I was watching the movie and I was like, okay. And then I kind of moused over and I was like, there's only 20 minutes left in this movie. And I was like, oh my god.
A lot's gonna happen in that 20 minutes.
Basically, and a lot happened in 20 minutes. So
nice.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I definitely enjoyed it. The cast, like I was saying, Roddy Piper as Nada, Keith David. So Meg Foster plays Holly. George Buckflower plays a drifter, Peter Jason as Gilbert, and Raymond St. Jacques as a street preacher. It's like a blind street preacher.
Cool.
So you see him initially in the beginning of the movie, preaching about stuff, and then, so like, it does build up, like, where there's some strange going-ons, and then it just starts to go bananas, essentially, so.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's well made, classic good stuff, so.
Cool.
Would recommend. It was not scary, and it wasn't really like horror as I was trying to find, unfortunately.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah. Because again, you think John Carpenter, there's aliens walking among us, the Thing.
Yeah, you're like, it's gonna be creepsies.
Oh man, this is gonna be some crazy stuff. But it was more subdued than that. And again, I think this was maybe a budgetary constraint. Because if maybe it was given a greater budget, maybe you could have done more with it. But yeah. It was still good fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I have not seen it.
Okay, so you haven't seen it. Yeah.
After all that.
No, yeah, and I hadn't seen it before this as well. I really wanted to try. That's what we
figured it out.
I really wanted to try to do movies I hadn't seen.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I also watched a movie I haven't seen.
Tell me about it.
But had been recommended to me.
Yeah, interesting, because like I said, I haven't heard of this. So.
Yeah, and I hadn't heard of it either. It was a made for Netflix movie, and it was produced and directed by Mick G.
Oh my god, Mick G!
Who, as we all know, did Charlie's Angels 2000 and Charlie's Angels Full Throttle.
Did he? He also, of course, did the Terminator Salvation.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. And that's why I can only think of, because one of the podcasts I listened to, they love that clip with Christian Bale ranting about the light guy, and he says at one point he's trying to talk to the director, and he's like, Mick G!
Nice.
That's all I can think of now.
So...
Really? Huh. Interesting.
I watched
dabbles in some horror.
The Babysitter.
Yeah.
And this movie was so good, it blew me the fuck away.
Really?
It had Edgar Wright-esque editing, and it was filmed in such an interesting way, and all of the characters, there was no annoying character. There was no character that you're like...
That's cool.
This shouldn't have been in here, right? It was so tight, and it was like a beginner's course in setup and payoff.
Okay, yeah.
So, here's the basic story. There's this very nerdy kid. He's like 12 or 14, something like that, and he still needs a babysitter. He gets picked on a lot.
Sure.
But his babysitter has been his babysitter for like a year, and she's this really hot, cool high schooler who, at the beginning of the movie, like, you can tell that they have, like, a very strong friendship.
Sure.
He's a little bit attracted to her. He's getting bullied, and she steps in to stop the bullies, basically.
Okay.
Not only stop the bullies, but she punctures one of their tires with her, like, necklace.
Whoa.
Yeah, on his bike, right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So, you're like, this is awesome. And so his parents are going away for the weekend. It's kind of implied that, they're going through some marital stress, and this is like a weekend to fix their marriage.
Sure.
And she's going to stay over for the weekend and babysit him. And there's this... I'm going into too much detail, but there's this super cute montage of the two of them just having fun together.
Okay, yeah.
Like they've set up like a little disco ball and they're dancing in the living room. They're running around in the backyard. They're swimming together and stuff, right? Sure. They're making pizza and all this stuff. Like it's the purest, most genuine friendship. Like, it's very, very cute.
Nice.
She sends him to bed. He's got a friend who's a girl who's about the same age as him. Mm-hmm. And she has convinced him that his babysitter's going to have a boyfriend over to have sex after he goes to bed. And she basically dares him to stay up.
Yeah.
So his babysitter offers him a shot of alcohol to help him sleep. But he just dumps it. He tricks her and dumps it, right? Because he wants to stay away. So he goes and he stays up, doesn't go to sleep. Mm-hmm. And then he hears the doorbell ring, so he like sneaks down, and it's a bunch of her friends have come over, right? It's like this kind of jock guy, a cheerleader girl, who I think is on all of the posters. This other girl, a black guy, and this nerdy kid. Right. And they start playing Spin the Bottle. Mm. And then the nerdy kid dies, and they start to sacrifice him to Satan.
Oh, jeez.
So that's the basic premise.
Oh, man.
It is so campy, and it's so, like, exactly the kind of horror that I like to watch.
Yeah, because you, of course, in our previous, or one of our episodes, The Evil Dead and stuff like that.
Yeah,
right?
I like lots of blood. Yeah. I like really large, silly things happening, like really elaborate deaths. And I like movies that don't take themselves too seriously. Mm-hmm. I don't like psychological thrillers, right? Like, this is the kind of movie I like. It just goes off the rails. And if you've never seen it, I'm going to spoil stuff. Yeah. So I would stop listening and go watch it and then come back. But sorry, Dad.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
I'm spoiling it for you, but it's still worth watching.
Sure.
So, okay, the rest of the story is he goes back in his room and calls the police. Like, he acts like a normal person. Right. And then he's like, I gotta get out of here. So he starts to make a
rope blanket kind of thing?
A rope blanket. Because he hears them say, oh, we just need the blood of an innocent now, and he's sleeping upstairs. Right. So he makes like a rope blanket to go get out the window, but he hears them coming, so he gets back in bed. Right. And then they pull out a needle, and they set it up in the first scene that he's terrified of needles, so it's like super tense to watch. Nice. And she takes his blood, and he pretends to be asleep because she reveals that she drugged him with the alcohol. Oh, yeah. But, like, they're just going to take his blood, right? Yeah, she doesn't want to hurt him.
Kill him or anything at this point.
At this point. Yeah. So then they all leave the room, and he gets up to go jump out the window, but he's just given blood.
So he's all woozy.
Faints, and she stayed in the room because she felt like something was off. Yeah. And then he wakes up, and he's tied to a chair, and it's such a great scene because the camera just pans up, and it's all the people that are left standing there. Right. And, like, the jock has no shirt on, and his immediate thing when he's, like, wakes up is, like, why aren't you wearing a shirt?
Sure. Yeah. It's a good question.
So, anyways, I'm not going to go into every minute detail.
Whatever,
but the cops show up. They kill both the cops. The cheerleader gets shot in her boob, it's hilarious. And then each character, one by one, dies.
Oh, really?
Mostly by accident. Like, the black guy... So, earlier in the film, there's, like, an award that one of the parents have won, and fell over, and so they make a point of showing the mom putting it back up. Yeah. So then... The black guy...
It, like, precariously falls.
Trips and falls over the rail and lands on it, and it goes through his head, right? So it's just, like, it's so good at... Like, everything is set up and then paid off, right? One of them gets blown up. He blows her up with a firecracker and bug spray.
Wait, so does the kid, the 12-year-old kid, is he, like, on this killing spree, or is he just trying to escape at this time, or he remains tied up and then he's just
so he gets out.
Right, and then they're trying to chase him around?
Actually, it's really funny because he has a pocket knife. Okay, yeah. And he's trying to cut himself out, and the cheerleader's like, dude, there's a mirror behind you. We see you cutting. And then he keeps trying to do it, and she's like, we still see you. What are you doing? Nice. But they untie him at one point for whatever, I can't remember why, they just untie him, right? He's trying to escape. Yeah.
And they're trying to keep him in the house.
And they're trying to kill him because he's witnessed all these murders now. Sure. So, and the jock is just like a psychopath who loves killing. Like, the other ones are in it because they want a boon from Satan.
Sure, some sort of, Satan gift.
Yeah. And he's in it because he likes killing, and he's so good at it. It's, oh my God. So, kid runs off, black guy chases him, falls down, dies.
Right.
Kid gets out of the house. He goes and hides under the house. And the other girl, the non-cheerleader girl, I think played by Awkwafina, finds him. And so he's trying to escape, so he shoots a firecracker at her, and then he screws the grate back into the crawl space under the house and locks her in there, and then he sprays bug spray when she's still trying to get out, and then that all explodes into the house. And the jock shows up and he's like, oh, good work. That was a good kill. Now I gotta kill you, kind of thing.
Nice.
And it's so funny because he's got the kid in a choke. And then he hears something, and he's like, what's that? He's like, oh, it's the bullies egging my house. And he's like, you gotta go stand up for yourself. Go beat them up. And he's like supporting him, and he keeps calling him like bro and like buddy and stuff.
Nice.
But he's trying to kill him.
Sure.
It's so good. So anyways, he dies. The cheerleader dies.
Yeah.
And then it's just him and the babysitter.
Right.
And she's got basically a book of Satan, and he lights it on fire and like throws it to distract her. And then he runs across the street to like the girl he likes' house, whose dad is such a dick. And when her parents got divorced, he bought like a really souped up car.
Of course.
So the kid steals the car and drives it into the house into the babysitter to kill her.
Nice.
Yeah, and then like his parents get home and they're like, oh my God, are you okay? And he's like, I don't think I need a babysitter anymore. It's like, I'm not doing it any justice by explaining it.
Sure.
It's such a great movie.
Nice.
Everyone should go see it. The camera work in it is really cool. There's so many scenes where he's like talking, like before the whole murder thing happens, where he's like talking to like his friend who's a girl, and there's stuff going on in the background, and they're at normal speed, but everything in the background is in slow motion.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yeah, it's like a very cool effect.
Yeah.
And the dialogue is hilarious.
Nice.
Like, there's so many lines where I like laughed out loud. And it's just really good pacing. It never like, there's no part that bogs down at all. Like, it's always moving. There's a cool scene where like when his parents are leaving, and it's kind of filmed from his perspective until his parents walk out the door, and then it's filmed kind of from their perspective looking back at him.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot of cool stuff like that. And then they also do text across the screen, but they use it in just the right amount. Like, it's not too much.
Yeah, or
like,
annoying.
when the characters are all getting introduced, right? Just the satanic ones, that they're kind of like names flash up when you get a shot of them and stuff. And it was really well done. It was hilarious. It was like the right amount of gore.
Yeah. It makes me curious because I was trying to find, and it's difficult, I think, to find information about budgets with streaming movies or movies made specifically for a streaming service. And because like you're saying, it's like well-paced, there's no fat. Is it just because they can't film more, essentially, because of the budgetary, like, they're like, this is the budget we have, and we got to use it correct.
Yeah.
And so they have to focus on the right elements to make, and essentially it makes a better movie, almost in a sense.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, when you think about it, it's not a huge cast.
Yeah.
Most of it was shot in a house or around a house.
Around a house, yeah. So.
There was nobody I would call a big name in it.
Right.
Like, I recognized the jock, and I recognized, I think it was Awkwafina that played the other girl. Right. And I think that the cheerleader is from, like, one of those, like, Riverdale kind of shows.
Yeah.
But that's all I recognized.
Sure.
The kid that was the main actor was very good.
Nice.
Not irritating and not pretentious. Like, he was just like a kid.
Just a kid.
Like, there's a scene where he's walking by his parents' room. He's like, oh, what you watching, Dad? He's like, oh, I'm rewatching Mad Men. And he's like, oh, can I watch? And he's like, oh, no, it's too adult for you. And he's like, oh, HBO? And he's like, no, it's just too adult for you. So then he goes back in his room and Googles it and watches all of it
Nice.
in his room. And it's just like, it's such like a 12-year-old kid thing to do.
Yeah.
Or like there's another part where his girlfriend or his friend that's a girl texts him and being like, he's like, oh, there's lots of people here when the group arrives.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh my God, they're going to have an orgy.
Yeah.
So then he Googles orgy.
Yes.
And then he's like, oh. Like that's his reaction.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, and it's really well done.
Cool.
Yeah. It was, and like I said, like there's like so much setup and payoff, but it still like subverts your expectations a bit. Like there's a part where they like really, really zoom in on like a knife going into a dishwasher.
Sure.
And you're like, oh, that's going to be great.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to that scene, there's a little bit of a flipperoo.
Yeah, like it goes differently.
It goes differently, and then you're like, oh, that's great, right?
Cool.
Yeah, so like the first part of the movie, like when he drives the car into the house, it's revealed like in the first 20 minutes that he's really into like aerodynamics and physics, and that he makes all these plans for toy cars to do crazy tricks. So he like figured out how to do it with the car to crash where she was.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So like that's paid off. There's like a part where like they mention his treehouse, so something happens in the treehouse.
Sure.
There's the award, so something happens with the award.
Yeah.
There's a part when they're like doing pizza where they have like a little conversation, and then that's revisited. Like it's all like set up and paid off.
Cool.
And the actress that they get to play the babysitter is really great at, like, you want to be her friend when you watch it. She seems like the nicest person.
Sure.
And she never really acts evil. Like, it was an interesting choice. Like, you still kind of think that, like, like, right up to the end that they should be friends almost. Yeah. But when they zoom in on her eyes, I don't know if they did it digitally or with lighting.
Yeah.
They like, her eyes look really freaking weird. And it's not contacts, but they like almost look like they're moving.
Oh yeah.
Like the iris is moving within the whites of the eye.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's really weird and cool. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, no, it was a great movie. I very highly recommend watching it.
Yeah, sounds like it.
I really enjoyed it.
And then you said this was on Netflix, right?
It's on Netflix.
And it came out this year or last year, or?
I don't know. I think last year maybe.
I'm not sure.
But it's very much worth watching. I don't think I saw a trailer, but I couldn't see a trailer doing it justice.
Sure.
Which I know you feel like that for every movie, but it's just, you know, sometimes I complain about popular songs in TV and movies because I feel like it's just something to put on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like it's a clip that they're going to extract. This had the perfect use of We Are the Champions.
Oh, very interesting. There you go. Yeah, well, and it was just kind of funny. We were joking, like you were saying previously with the McG. Like, I was trying to think as well, like, what other stuff has he done since he did Terminator?
I wonder if, like, because Terminator wasn't great.
No, it was not, unfortunately.
And
I wanted it to be great. Yeah.
And, like, Charlie's Angels, even though I love them, they're not, like, good films.
I think one stands better. Although there's there's good stuff through both 1 and 2. I think the villain is more interesting in 2 because it's Demi Moore coming back, previous Angel.
Yeah.
But I think 1 was a good character intro movie.
Yeah.
Right? So.
But they're not like, you wouldn't be like, oh, this is a great film. You should watch.
Yeah.
And I wonder if those bigger budget movies, he had a lot of, like, studio restraint.
Yeah, maybe.
Whereas, like, with The Babysitter, he maybe just got to make the movie he wanted to make.
Yeah, like, Netflix was just kind of like, all right, this is your script. Okay, let's do it.
That's what I kind of think, maybe.
Well, and like I was saying, I think it's also, because the next movie I was going to talk about has a very limited, or at least I feel like it has limited budget, but it kind of works in its favor and then doesn't work in its favor in some ways, right? So, like you're saying, this seems to be really well put together. Like, how long of a movie was it?
It didn't seem long. I think it was like an hour and a half, maybe.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And that's what I was saying. That hour and a half mark is like almost a sign that it was like they just don't have a ton of money to be like, let's make it a 2 hour include all this sorts of extra stuff. And then when you're watching it, you're like, what is this? You're like, cut 20 minutes of this movie and it'd be better. Right? So
I feel like most of it was practical effects too.
Nice.
Like now that I'm like thinking about it.
Always better, of course.
Yeah, I like it.
Because it's actually there.
Yeah, totally. Well, it doesn't... Because sometimes with a lower budget movie and digital effects, it looks very digital, but...
Yeah. Well, or like they say, like they did the digital with the practical in a nice blend, so then you can't... it doesn't stick out that you're like, oh, that was digital or whatever, right? Like...
Yeah, actually...
Kind of like Mad Max.
I'm like running through all the deaths.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were probably all practical effects.
Nice.
With it, maybe not the exploding
person.
Yeah, but you didn't really see. You just saw like a fireball come out. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a good time. Good movie.
It was really good. You should watch it.
Yeah.
I would watch it again if you want to watch it. Right now. Let's go.
Well, we're still in the middle of recording.
No!
Well, that's but on a horror scale, what would you like? It was more campy horror.
It's more like if you've seen Dale and Tucker versus Evil.
Yeah.
I'd say it's more like in line with that style of horror.
Yeah. It's
like if you took an 80s slasher movie and made it just really good. So I would still call it horror, but it's not like a psychological thriller.
Yeah.
It's not like torture porn.
Sure.
It's like a slasher movie that's fun to watch.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Like a fun slasher movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's no... I don't think there was any jump scares.
Oh. There's usually always like one or two in like a horror, whether it's meant for the killer or it's more just like, someone's like, do, and then raccoon, kind of thing, right? So.
No, I don't think there was any jump scares in it.
That's
I think it was just very well done.
Yeah. Cool.
That Jock is so good at it.
Nice.
He's like, and he looks like Christian Bale in American Psycho.
Right.
And he acts like Christian Bale in American Psycho.
Could have been his inspiration.
100%. There's no doubt. Because he just because the kid's like trying to reason with him, like, oh no, you need the blood of an innocent for your ritual. And he's like, I'm not in it for the ritual. I just like to kill people.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
This is another part where the kid's like, he's like, oh, I guess you better run away. I'll give you a head start. He's like, you're the quarterback. So good.
I cannot outrun you.
Yeah.
It's the thrill of the chase.
Obviously. Yeah.
Cool. So that was The Babysitter.
The Babysitter, worth watching on Netflix. Do it now.
Cool.
Not sponsored. Just a fan.
Just a fan. Well, and I would say for myself, the last movie I'll just talk about briefly here. Try not to go on too long-winded. This one, I thought it was on Netflix, but it turned out it was on Prime.
Oh, okay.
It's called The Blackcoat's Daughter from 2015.
So this is a favorite movie of Jay from Red Letter Media.
Which was also where I got the recommendation for this one, because he had talked about it. And I was trying not to watch this movie for this, because I was like, oh, I've heard people talk about it. Maybe I'll try to find something else. I couldn't find anything else, so I ended up watching this.
Okay.
But this one was written and directed by Oz Perkins, and it's about, well, here's like a synopsis here.
It's compared to the Vivitch a lot, isn't it?
I guess so. I mean, I think, in my opinion, The Vitch was a better movie than this one.
Get out.
But this is still a good movie. So Kat and Rose are two girls who are left alone at their prep school, Bramford, over winter break when their parents mysteriously fail to pick them up.
Is it a modern setting or an old-timey?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
It's a modern setting, but they do, and this was really effective, there's two timelines, essentially. And the one you're watching with Kat and Rose, like someone has like, oh, okay, have you tried your cell phone? And it's like a flip phone.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, this is set X number of years back. Not sure when, but it's definitely not iPhone 10 era, right? Okay. So it's like, it just kind of like little subtly clues you in. Basically, Rose, who's played by Lucy Binton, or Bionton, sorry, she told her parents, the winter break was started on a Wednesday, she told her parents Friday, because she wants to go on some dates with a boy.
Oh.
But Catherine, we don't know why her parents didn't show up. And she has a vision of maybe like a crushed up car, and she's like, oh, maybe they got into a car accident. And they're like, no, don't say anything like that, kind of thing. So you're not sure what's going on in the beginning of the movie. And as it kind of progresses, there is a time jump. So there's a story of Joan, who's a troubled young woman on the road who, for unknown reasons, is determined to get to Brantford as fast as she can. And that, as this story goes along, you learn is more in the present than even what we thought. So that's total present, and the other one...
Like 10, 15 years ago.
Well, it turns out it's 9 years ago.
Okay.
Which, again, this is all really cleverly doled out, like, when you're watching the movie, and the 9 years part was, like, spelled out, but then it's like, you kind of have to pay attention. Here was my problem, sort of, with the movie, was I guessed it correctly without intending to, and I was just kind of like, ooh, but I still wasn't disappointed, basically.
Okay.
Because what starts to happen here is, again, this is going to be spoiling everything that's going to happen, is that Kat, she, like, speaks to someone on the phone, and Rose is like, oh, who were you talking to? She's like, oh, I was talking to the headmaster, and he says I can stay with him. And she's like, oh, okay, that's kind of weird, but all right. And so Rose goes on her date, comes back, and then she finds Kat down below in the furnace, and it looks like she's, like, doing this crazy whiplash, like, headbang worship kind of thing. And then they just cut to her, like, in a shower, and she's just like, oh, Rose is like, were you just, like, sleepwalking? She's like, oh, yeah, that's what I was doing. And it's just like, you're like, what is happening? Because then Rose, she puts her to bed, because Rose is, like, a senior, Kat's, like, a junior type, or, like, a freshman kind of age. And after Rose leaves, the camera is, like, sitting on her, and then she just inverts her body, like, in a second.
Ooh.
And you're like, oh, okay. What is even going on here?
Yeah.
So, and then with the stuff with Joan in the present, she's like, oh, I gotta get to Brantford. She initially says, she's like, oh, I'm going to Portsmouth, which is actually a fictional town.
Mm-hmm.
And I got his name down here. Yeah, James Remar Bill. He's, like, in everything. You'd recognize him. But he sees her at a bus stop. It's winter. And he's like, oh, like, are you okay? Do you need, like, a ride or something like that? And she's like, no, I'll be fine. He's like, look, we're going this way. We'll give you a ride. My wife's in the car, who's played by Lauren Holly. Linda is her name. And she's like...
Side note.
Okay.
Never get into a car with anybody. Even if his wife's there, even if they have a baby seat in the back seat. There are couples who are, like, serial killers who use the baby seat in the back as a lure. Don't trust anyone. You're better off on your own. Sure. Continue on.
No, that's...
just as a side note for people.
Yeah. So they get in the car.
I listen to a lot of true crime.
Yes. And they start on their journey there. And then, like I said, it kind of cuts back and forth. But basically, it's Joan just wants to get there, but it's not revealed why or what's going on.
Okay.
And then there's some weird flashes. And back with Rose and Kat, Rose, it's revealed in the beginning of the movie, thinks she's pregnant. Oh. And that was one of the reasons she wanted to kind of stay, maybe to talk with the guy, figure it out. And Kat, so this movie, again, I think, like, had a very limited budget, and it's only an hour and a half long.
Yeah.
Because it goes from her being a little creepy to
very creepy.
There's two nuns, and Kat and Rose, and they're having dinner, and then, like, they're praying, and then Kat's, like, starting to, like, chuckle about the prayer, and then they're like, discipline her, make her do the prayer, and then she just gets up and vomits on the table, which was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. And then they're all like, oh, and then so they're checking her out, and then she, like, swears at the nuns, and then they're like, oh, all taken aback by her behavior. They get a phone call, and it's the headmaster, and so they're like, oh, Rose, can you go, like, shovel the driveway because he's coming?
Yeah.
And she's like, what? I didn't do anything. She's like, well, just please, because I'm pretty sure Kat's parents are dead from a car accident. Like, her vision was real.
Yeah.
And so she shovels the driveway. She tries to get inside. It doesn't work. And then it's revealed in that period, Kat has murdered them both and then cut their heads off.
Nice.
Yeah. And it's just like, so that was there was no, like, progression of the creepy. It went from, like, 0 to 100 and, like,
gotcha.
and like, just in a too fast way, where I think it could have been a couple more scenes, and that would have been cool, but what are you gonna do? He's working with what he's got.
Yeah.
So she murders them, cuts their heads off, turns out, and then Rose never, like, finds him, because she, like, tries, and then she's like, oh, that's weird, goes to bed, wakes up, and then in the morning she kind of hears, like, some creepy noises, and she's like, oh, like, Kat, like, and kind of investigates, and then finds the heads. And then Kat comes out and stabs her and kills her.
All right.
Yeah, it's all so sudden. I was just like, whoa, like this is going crazy. And the reason you kind of know that it's sort of spoiled because you've seen a scene before with Joan and Bill where he's like, oh, we're going to visit where our daughter died. And he shows a picture, and it's a picture of Rose.
Yeah.
And so that's like I said, before that I kind of guessed, and it's like, oh, Joan is Kat. And because that's the reveal, is that Joan, because she shows her the picture of Rose, and she's like, excuse me, I gotta go to the bathroom. And she goes in the bathroom and starts laughing hysterically and trying to control herself. So as they drive back, they're kind of going to the area, and then Joan's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, like I gotta stop, blah blah blah," and then she murdered both of them again, both Bill and Linda, and it cuts off their heads. But here's the strange real thing to the movie.
Does Joan and Kat look alike at all?
They do a pretty good job. Is that so? They're both kind of blonde and have a semi-narrowish face. So you could see sort of how like they're the same, like they're different actresses, of course, but it could work.
Yeah,
She's an older version of her, kind of thing. So Joan has escaped from from an institution, and she's trying to get back there. So what happens is, the reveal is the headmaster and a sheriff show up to the school, probably to tell her like the news or whatever. They find the dead bodies. Then they go down and investigate further, and down in that furnace, she's got the heads lined up beside her, and she's got the knife, and she's like chanting "Hail Satan," and then the cop eventually has to shoot her. Actually, it's a great scene because the cop's all yelling like, "Put the knife down, put the knife down," and it all starts to really like blur and become faded, and like this cool camera effect, and then she's like standing there smiling hysterically, basically with the knife up, being like, "Shoot me," and she's just like, "Hail Satan, hail Satan," and just like kind of approaching, and then so he shoots her, and we also then get the cut back. This is where I'm not too sure who's kind of going for. Joan in the present goes down to the furnace, and the furnace is cold and not on.
Yeah.
And it's winter, and then she kind of goes back, and you see her on the street, and she just kind of breaks down and starts crying hysterically almost, and the movie ends. And so I was like, oh no, sorry, there's one more key scene. So after they shoot Kat, she's restrained in a hospital, and the priest comes in, and he's talking with her, and he's like, he sets up like a cross and some holy water and this and that, and then he starts like, being like, power of Christ compels you kind of thing, like, leave her, blah, blah, blah. And he's spraying holy water on her, and she kind of like levitates. It's really great effect. And then she kind of looks over, and you see a dark figure. Ooh. And then Kat's like, "No, please don't go," and then it like vanishes. Ooh. And then the movie, like I said, it kind of cuts, and then it's over. So it's like she was possessed and wanted to remain possessed, and so she tried to become possessed again, I think, but it didn't work. I think is the movie there.
Was the furnace like the gate to hell or something?
Maybe. It the way you never see the furnace. Well, you see the furnace actually once in that the Hail Satan scene where she's got the 4 heads, but every other time you always see it from like sort of a distance, and you just see the orange glow and like just the bars, like the furnace bars of fire.
Yeah.
It's really well shot. And so it's just kind of like
cool.
Yeah. So, like I said, it was really short, and I would have preferred maybe another scene or two of just like some of her descent into possession.
Yeah.
But it was still well made, well crafted, well acted. The three main women here: Emma Roberts, who plays Joan. Yeah, Kiernan Shipka, who plays Kat. I was about to say you probably recognize all these names.
Oh, and then Kiernan Shipka, Sabrina from Sabrina the Teenage.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, she'd be good at that.
Yeah.
And Emma Roberts is Julia Roberts' niece.
Yeah.
And she's also the creepy redhead in what was that series called?
Well, they've all collaborated in American Horror Story, Scream Queens.
Yeah, Scream Queens.
And Beaton in the Politician as well.
Nice.
As well as like I said, Sabrina, she's in there as well. So they've worked together as well as
awesome.
They're like they're really good in this movie as well. And this was from 2015, so
nice.
Yeah.
Weird and awesome.
Yeah, so they're all in this movie, like I said.
Who played Joan? Sorry?
Joan was Emma Roberts.
Oh, okay. Who played...
Kat?
Kat was
Kiernan Shipka.
Who was the other girl?
Rose was Lucy Boynton. B-O-Y-N-T-O-N.
Where's she from?
I didn't write down specifically. I just know that they've collaborated in these different things. I think she was more from American Horror Story.
Wait, Kieran Sohibaba was in Scream Queens?
Well, they've collaborated, maybe not all three together, but through these different projects, they've all worked together at different times.
Season 1 of Scream Queens up until the last episode was really good.
Yeah, I was about to say, when I saw that name, I was like, oh, Devin really liked that show.
Yeah, it was, what's her name from Halloween? The Scream Queen?
Oh, yeah, oh my gosh, why is her name escaping me too?
You know who she is.
Yes, you know who she is from Halloween.
I want it... Joan, anyways.
Oh, it's gonna bother me now.
Yeah, she plays a principal in it, and she's very great.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. So, like I said, I liked the streamlined nature of it, but I also would have liked a little more. But I think again that was just some budgetary stuff. But like I said, it was really good performance. They're in this. It's this winter break, and then you get that feeling that they're stark and closed off. So yeah, it was the directorial debut of Oz Perkins.
Nice. And
so this is kind of some funny stuff. It was filmed in February in Kemptville, Ontario, Canada, at the University of Guelph Kemptville Agricultural Campus. But the week that Emma Roberts' outdoor scenes were all filmed was the coldest winter temperatures in Canadian history. So she's out there and she's wearing this like a shirt and this like leather jacket.
Oh shit.
Like it's not like an insulated leather jacket.
Oh no.
So she was probably freezing. Then like I said, they've all collaborated previously on other things. It was a really good movie. And I just really enjoyed it. Like I said, it was short, and it's one of those horror films where, you know, there's not like a lot going on. It's like literally a scene of she goes on her date. You don't even see the date. You just see them come back and they just kind of talk a little bit and then that's it. You know, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But the horror elements were executed well, that you were like, whoa, that was creepy. Yeah. Like something weird just happened there. Totally. And even like I said, when she was the first scene where you kind of think something's off, it's like the motions are not human looking enough. Yeah. Like they're too fluid and you're like, it's kind of interesting here. So yeah, it was good. It was an hour and a half. So
cool.
Just some good stuff.
I thought it was a period piece because of the title.
Me too. I honestly did too, and I was like, oh okay. Huh. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, it was good stuff. Check it out.
Cool. I kind of want to see it now that I know the cast.
Yeah, and I think it was mentioned he has a follow-up coming out as well, which
like
I think
sequel?
No, like a new horror movie coming out. It's like the next one, which I think is more period piece.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I forget the title of that one, but
yeah, because I feel like people compare it to the Vivitch all the time too,
yes, which is a period piece.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think it gets compared as well to, or I saw it kind of related to I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House, I think it's called, which also seems like some sort of slow-esque horror kind of thing.
Yeah, that name sounds be a fan of. Familiar, but I don't.
Yeah. I don't know. Because, like I say, I really enjoyed The Witch. It's one of my favorite horror movies in the last forever. Like something like The Shining. You know, I just love that kind of stuff.
But you like a slow burn?
Yeah, I like that slow build-up of dread. And
The Babysitter is not a slow burn.
Exactly right.
So. It's a fun burn, though.
Yeah. Sure, and this one definitely was a slow burn, but it was a short slow burn. You know, in contradiction of terms. But
no, I gotcha. Yeah.
It was just kind of like, whoa. And for me, again, I was like, give me a little more dread, a little more tension. Like, you know, a little more like Rose witnessing something and then her being like, what's going on? And like then she feels more trapped about the situation because her parents are supposed to come on Friday, and at this point in the story it's like Thursday or whatever, and then it's like oh I'll get out of here on Friday, like, you know, she tries to do something or whatever. So anyway, what are you gonna do?
Yeah,
I didn't make the movie. I did enjoy
it. I thought you did.
Unfortunately not.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Yeah.
So you recommend it?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. It was good times.
Between the two movies you saw, which one do you think was better? Or are they so different that you can't compare them?
I think that's what I was going to say. They are so different, but I think The Blackcoat's Daughter, just because it's got some more modern slickness to it.
Yeah.
But John Carpenter, you can't deny his style and his classic horror movies, right? So it's like, I wouldn't say don't watch either of them.
Don't watch anything.
But if you're looking for more, maybe like Devin was saying, a little more semi-camp, They Live falls into that.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for like a little slow burn, slashy, Blackcoat's daughter falls into that.
Yeah. I wouldn't watch The Babysitter if you're looking for something like
The Shining.
Well, definitely not The Shining.
Yeah.
Or something like
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yes.
That's her name.
If you're looking for something like Hostel or Saw,
right,
The Babysitter will not satisfy you.
Okay, yeah, that's more interesting because it's not about that. Like you're saying, it's not about that.
But if you like stuff like Nightmare on Elm Street or Evil Dead, you'll have so much fun.
Nice. No, that sounds definitely like something I'd like to check out as well.
It's everything. You know what else? And this is something that I've brought up before where I get mad at things not being colorful.
Yeah.
This was so colorful.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was very nice to watch.
Nice.
I could see each character. It didn't just blend into the background.
No, I was going to say, speaking of course, we've mentioned The Shining several times. There is the Dr. Sleep is coming out.
Oh, yeah, the sequel.
I'm curious, because I haven't read The Shining, the book, or The Dr. Sleep, the book. But now I'm like, oh, maybe I should watch this movie and then read those books. But I just don't know because... I love The Shining. It's so good. The
Shining, the movie, is very different from The Shining, the book,
As far as I understand, yes.
And Stephen King wasn't a fan of the movie at first, correct? Right?
I think it's like an Indian burial ground situation, which is implied in the movie, but it's not like brought up. I think the book brings it up.
I feel like they probably didn't get a great director to do Dr. Sleep. Like, it's probably not going to be anything like The Shining.
Oh, sure. I don't think you can't even...
I don't think they resurrected Kubrick for this.
You can't make a movie like The Shining now, of course, because it's just the way modern movie making is. But Ewan McGregor's in it, which is interesting to me, so I like him.
He's also in the Birds of Prey movie.
Nice. Yes, that's right.
With the Harley Quinn movie.
Yeah.
So who knows how that'll be. I'm
into it.
I'll probably watch it.
Yeah, no.
She does have hyenas in the trailer, so I liked that.
Nice. Yeah. But anyway, I was just because it's a horror movie and we're talking horror movies.
Yeah, sorry, off topic.
That's okay. No.
I thought of another thing.
I don't know. Is there any other horror movies off the top of your head that we haven't spoke of previously that you think others should watch or that you have enjoyed?
No.
Okay. Well, and I would say...
There's a Zombieland 2's coming out, but I'm not super interested in seeing it because I feel like they took everything from Zombieland and just did it again.
That's what I was going to say. I was listening to a podcast, and that's like the trend now, especially these days, is to just make a sequel...
And have it be the same?
Yeah, or either do it again or just say it's they're making the new Terminator.
Yeah.
That's basically Terminator 3, even though we've had 6 Terminator films. Yeah. So it's like they're just making a sequel, ignoring everything.
Do you know what the tagline for the new Terminator is?
I do not.
What happens the day after Judgment Day?
I don't know. More judgment.
I'm like, fuck off.
Yeah. No, but that's what I mean. It's like Zombieland. They're either just doing a sequel and making it the same movie because it's been so long. It's been like a decade since Zombieland. I
know.
So they're like, people won't notice or care, or new audiences won't know that it's like the same.
Yeah. So that's my problem though.
Yeah.
It's like,
absolutely.
I've already seen Zombieland. I don't want to see the same thing again.
Yeah.
Because when Zombieland came out, it was kind of new and interesting.
It was fresh and fun.
It was like kind of riding on the coattails of Shaun of the Dead and had like kind of that feeling, but more American, I guess.
Yeah.
And I have zero interest in it because I'm like, I just don't want to watch the same movie again.
Sure.
You know what I do want to see that isn't horror though is Jojo Rabbit or Jojo and the Rabbit.
I have no idea.
It's Taika Waititi. Ah. And it's about a Hitler youth whose imaginary friend is Hitler.
When's that coming out?
November.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it looks really cute, actually. And Taika Waititi plays Hitler.
Right.
Yeah. Like, it's like a nerdy Hitler youth, like a young, 8-year-old kind of thing. And all right. So he's not very good at it. So he makes up an imaginary friend who is Hitler.
Nice. Well, anything can be good.
ScarJo's in it, too. Oh. Plays his mom.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
You know, anything can be good, and there's some talent out there.
Yeah. So. No, I think it looks really cute, actually.
Nice.
And not exploitative.
Right.
Yeah, and not pro-Nazi.
I would assume not.
Because, oof. Yeah. We live in a time where that has to be an issue now. Oof.
But yeah, it's just kind of funny like you're saying, because like Terminator and the Zombieland, they're not the first movies to just do that. They're like, we're just making either a sequel or it's like it's the third quel, and we just ignore everything. It doesn't matter what we saw after. Because Halloween did it just last year.
Yeah.
They just made a Halloween sequel to the first Halloween, even though there's been like 4 Halloween sequels.
I haven't seen it, but I kind of want to watch it because it's Jamie Lee Curtis getting revenge.
No, that's exactly it. It's just like she's been preparing. And
that sounds rad.
Yeah, but it just ignores everything else. Right? So,
yeah, it's fine.
No, exactly right. As long as, again, if it's entertaining and good, cool. Anyway, I think I went off a little tangent there. We'll wrap up the show.
So we recommend all the movies. Yeah,
I don't think there was any real duds. Like I said, the Neon Demon was kind of weird. Definitely, maybe not some people's cup of tea.
Yeah, I think that The Babysitter is everyone's cup of tea.
Nice.
Well, maybe not my grandma.
Sure. But many other people.
One exception.
Sure.
If you like blood,
copy that.
Go watch it. So you can find us on all of the social media. We're at Tome of Uselessness or something close to that. We also have a website, tomeofuselessness.com. And if you would like us to do a episode on a specific topic, you can email us, tomeofuselessness@gmail.com.
Yeah, questions, comments, topics.
Yeah, tell us we're dumb.
What? No.
We'll read it out. Devin and Dad, you are dumb.
Oh.
Thanks, Mom. And thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Have a good Halloween.
Oh, yeah, happy Halloween.
Spooky times.